Hi, greetings, Professor Figueroa. So here's the video of the online Python course that I took in Codecademy for my finals. So please enjoy the video. Here's the walkthrough through all the courses. So here's the uh, landing page of Python training courses. I've completed all the lessons, and yeah, I decided to complete, as a replacement of the finals, complete the Codecademy course in Python because from the start I figured it'll be much beneficial to me so I can manage my time. I can complete the whole course whenever I have the time. I can decide on focusing on it really, and I don't have to be too conscious of any time pressure. So that's really the main reason why I went through. I mean, why I decided to go to the online Codecademy Python course instead of going through the final exam. And I'm really glad I did because I was able to, take, some time to really dig deep and understand each lessons. And I can browse through or search in Google to further understand any topics that that might any bumps that I can encounter. And yeah, I'm really glad that I went through the Codecademy course. So here are the lessons in Python. As you can see, I was able to complete the lessons here 100%. So we started with Unit 1, just basics of Python. Let me first show you this. So I've been dabbling in other online courses. So I'm also trying to learn Java. Like I started this months ago. As you can see here, I almost completed this 84% 4 months ago. This was the last time I was active here. And I also started HTML with one of the courses here in multimedia studies here in UPOU. I was able to complete this HTML course in another login under my UPOU email address. So it's not here. But the point is, when I started learning Python, I was able to compare the the characteristic with Java. So a lot of times I find Python really, much easier to understand and to learn. So right off the bat, I've seen that, in lesson one when I'm going through the syntax, you can print easily just by typing the built-in function print when it's just like this. Welcome to Python. And as compared to the syntax in Java. So with the string args, main argument, main function and all. So from the start, I started from the beginning. I really appreciate and understand why some of the online courses out there are shifting towards Python as the first language or easier language to learn for beginner programmers. So going back to Python, to further discuss the other units. So here in calculator, this is just some exercises. I've learned how to use simple algebra and math expressions and put them into a programming syntax. This it was discussed here. So very basic discussions on how you can translate the math operators into a programming language. So this is really, straightforward. Next is the strings and output that you bring out to the console. So here, um, this is it's discussed here how important string data type is. We also discuss what the differences are between the other data types like int or float. or double. Just some preliminary lessons on, I guess, basically planting the seed, for a beginner programmer to be out there and understand that there are different data types, and it's going to matter when you're programming or when you're doing your logic in your programs. You need to kind of visualize what type of variables or the data types of those variables are, as you pass them through methods and functions. So this is where it starts. Um, then what I really like here is they immediately put you in and do some exercises. This is one of them. It introduced a built-in function date and time, and then it allowed you to put it in different format if you wanna do just the month, the day, or the year. This is basically where I got the chance to do it. Then moving on, getting into the meat of the programming is the conditionals and flows. So here is the first or introduction on how computers really decide on where to go, left or right. If depending on the conditions that it will be presented on the outcome of that, it will decide if it'll go here or it'll go to the other side. So this is basically a very good introduction to that. And then another good exercise to use string manipulation and also the branching or the flow of control is the Pig Latin exercise, which is really great. I find it really funny. In any books or any programming courses, it's really fun. When you get or encounter any programmer humor. So yeah, it's right here. Next would be functions, and so there are times when you will be repeatedly you're going to use the same code over and over again. So when you know that you have like some code that you would use again later in your program, it's better to make it define it as a function that you can call. So this lesson here is about that, how you can define the function and then reuse that code in the other section of your program. So this is a very good introduction to that too. And then just like in any other Codecademy courses, it's gonna, I was presented with a very good exercise on utilizing the previous lessons I've learned all the way up to functions. So this is a really good exercise there. Um, when you want to take a vacation, it's gonna ask it asks me to create, the expense on accommodation, transportation, how many nights am I gonna stay there in a hotel, and also for pocket money. It also counted for that. So taking vacation, and then the list and dictionary. So this is really interesting. So for Java, for example, it's normally discussed as arrays, right? Or 2D arrays and other data structure like that, or data type, or I'm not really, at this point, I'm not really sure how it's called. But basically here in Python, most of the discussions about that, similar concept is the list. And perhaps comparing it to Java dictionaries, the closest I can think of that is two list dictionaries as opposed to Java is the two-day array. So I'm thinking maybe this is the what dictionaries are if I have to think of a direct translation to other languages. So yeah, it's really fun lesson of this in dictionaries. Although uh, from the start it's gonna be I have to exert more effort, in order to grasp the concept of list and dictionaries. But it's really good because it allowed me to it has shown me how to start maybe use list as a starting point, create an empty list and then store as you iterate, or if you have a program and you want to keep track of entries or results from a certain function, you can put it here and dump it inside a list. If you want to do like uh, put an identification to a certain variable, you can also try dictionaries where it has a key and the corresponding value to that. So in a way, I can imagine I can use dictionaries in setting up a list of variable names, and then to its corresponding actual value. That's probably one of the uses of dictionaries. And then right after that, there was an exercise given a day at the supermarket. Was asked We were asked to come up with a virtual shopping cart, just like how many on how online stores are right now. You have a shopping cart, you select the product, and then its associated price will be calculated. It also discussed how to add in products or items into your shopping cart, and also how to remove them, and then also adjust the running price as you go along. And here, putting it all together, this is an exercise of how to compute for the grades of some of the students. So here we were um, tasked to define functions for example, the sum of the grades, and then later on the average. So yeah, very good exercise. And then further discussions on list and functions, just pretty much like a review of list, and then how you can use it inside functions as well. So just a combination of how function works and how you can use list as a variable inside your function. So it's really neat. And then this is also exciting, battleship. So it's really when in every in whatever you do, it's really nice when you finally see the outcome of that endeavor. So this is one of those moments when you program and then you actually see it on the screen. When you set up the board and then actually put in you try to guess where the battleship is. So it's really it's really nice. Although it's very basic, but still worth the effort. So here's just an application of list and function inside a console program. And then I'm also intrigued of the additional ideas to explore, like how to improve your battleship program here. Let me just go inside. So it's giving you like a challenge of other things that you can improve here under extra credit. So there are ideas here. You can maybe try multiple battleships, but you have to consider the borders of your grid here. Make sure they don't go out of the ocean, or the ocean within your game. And then try different sizes of the board, or maybe do a two-player game. So this is something that I'm really interested in facing these challenges in sometime in the future. So it's really nice. Then going Yeah, moving on, going back to the course outline. Oh, there it's loaded. Is it Python? So here, yeah, when we're almost at the end of the course, here we were introduced to loops. It's really um, it's kind of weird that it was introduced later on. Maybe I'm just used to because I've seen it in another language. But here, um, loops were introduced, and how you can easily iterate through, easily come up with a list of numbers if you want, or go through a repetitive task. Instead of typing it manually one by one, you can use loops to do that. And it was very well explained here on how to what the syntaxes are on creating a loop. And again, solidifying the knowledge learned from here. There's another exercise, and yeah, this really makes sense. Practice makes perfect. So yeah, it's very solid exercise here, applying the knowledge I've learned from the loops lesson. Um, Also, it was explained here the difference of while and for. I really find it the same function, although it's depending on situation, you can decide to use for or while. Um, so so I'm really glad that they shown it here. in programming, I can imagine that there are, certain different number of ways you can do a similar or one problem, different ways to tackle them. So it's really up to how you can come up with your logic and use whatever tools you have. And here in loops, it was shown how that you have this different types of loops that you can use. You can use whatever implementation you want to make. And then here, like another culmination of your other lessons is in the exam statistics exercise. So we were asked to do the sum, average, variance, and the standard deviation of computing the grade. So here's a really good exercise to put it all together. And oops, and then so really here there would it was discussed here additional topics on creating loops, for example, using list comprehensions, like how you use the range and all that, and then the slicing of lists the same way, which you can also use on strings. A string is really just a list of characters bunched together. One way of looking at strings. And then lambda expressions was introduced, which at this point, because of maybe of the limited exercise and perhaps that it was not really explored more than I hope. I really can't imagine right now how exactly I would use lambda expressions. But it's a good introduction here. I'm glad it was added here too. And the same in the same vein, bitwise operations. It's a good thing to know, although at this point, I'm not really sure how exactly this can be applied. Although I'm pretty sure if I encounter this in any future codes that I will see, yeah, I'm glad to know that yeah, I'd be able to recognize this inside another person's code. Right? But I guess right now my knowledge is really limited to appreciate how and when I will use bitwise operators. Maybe in when you're trying to make your codes more efficient, perhaps bitwise operators could be useful. But that's just my expectation of that. And then classes were introduced finally, and I'm really excited to go through the object-oriented programming course later on in the 140 series. So this is a good introduction to that. I know object-oriented programming is really complex and very complex discipline, and this is a good way of putting out all the introductory concepts to that. And so we were I was introduced on how to introduced to how to create a class, and then how you can inherit it from the object class, really, the basic type of classes, and then also how to inherit the features of another class you previously defined. It's all taught here. And then also the input output manipulator, how you can manipulate the file, was also shown in the final unit of the course. So I'm pretty sure this is where, for example, doing the exercise of any web crawler, when you're trying to get the email addresses or usernames of Twitter users, for example, when you're trying to crawl the web, this is going to be useful when you want to dump all the information you're gathering, put it in a file. So this is it's a very good introduction to that. This will really tie in on the other project done in the ADS chapters. So that's that for Python. Really glad I chose to do this online. It gave me the time I needed, very flexible time. I was able to um, spend that time to further research a certain concept, and I'm really glad we're almost done with MMS 141 course. So thank you again so much for helping us out. I really appreciate your assistance. And so, yeah, have a nice day.